Thank you everybody for coming today. We're going to give you an introduction to Wisdom Spirit Ranch. Wisdom Spirit Ranch is a very unique, enchanted property just outside of Sedona, Arizona. So we're in the Sedona Verde Valley along the Sacred Oak Creek. And let's get started. So the things I'm going to cover today is to give you some basic understanding of the beauty of this property and what it offers you as a tribe leader, a team leader, any kind of leader basically, who wants to bring their group together for an extraordinary experience. So it's one thing for you to be an extraordinary teacher, but this is an added element that supports you in bringing forth an extraordinary next level experience that doesn't tax everything out of you. So it's very supportive. When the land calls a tribe leader, a team leader to its property, it's there to support you. There's a reason why you're coming. There is, which will become obvious as we go through this script here, and give you some insight onto why this is a great spot for you to consider for your next gathering. Also, just a couple side notes. Everybody who completes this webinar, we are going to send you a follow-up email. In that email will be a link for a discount code, number 1, for the first 5 who book and reserve. So you need to actually lock it in. And second of all is that if you have any questions, any additional questions, there'll be a calendar link in there for you to book a session with me so we can go through the questions. And then also schedule any, talk about dates if you're interested and ready to move forward. So what is Wisdom Spirit Ranch? So Wisdom Spirit Ranch came into my world exactly 2 years ago. I'm speaking June of 2022. And that was came to me as an investment property. So I had a home in Sedona that I was heavily guided to sell at that time. It was during the really busy boom real estate market. I had investors all over me who wanted to buy that property, which was fantastic because it wasn't an easy to sell property because of the use that it was being used as a elder care home at the time. I had a renter who was using it as an elder care. So I had a lineup of renters, and this property came on market. I walked on and I knew this was the one I've been waiting for. Didn't know why I was waiting for it. I thought many different purposes for it, but this was not one of them. This did not come clear until I actually signed the contract and we were in agreement to move forward, that it started showing that its true and purpose and intent for being here and now in this time frame, this timeline, was for collaboration to bring forth the energies that it holds, which was still unknown to me at that time. So by the time I actually closed on the property, it was already becoming quite clear that this property was transitioning itself from a family home. So it's a 7-acre property, has 3 homes on it. The main home, the previous owner, was her main residence, and then there was 2 rentals on each of the other homes. And so it was all women at that time, which was fascinating. And she was pretty aware. She passed away at age 92. A very aware individual. They used to do meditations and stuff on the property, but I don't think she even realized the potential of this property. I am the second family who's owned this land. So it's been very protected. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but the Sinagua Indians were the last ones that we are aware of, of the energies on this property. All right, so back to Wisdom Spirit Ranch is a very transformational property. It's experiential, it's immersion, it's design, it's calling you to the property if you're designed to be here. Teachers, coaches, leaders. I mean, we have people who are corporate leaders who are interested in just being in the serenity of these properties. They don't necessarily connect with all of the other energies there, but they want the privacy here. We have spiritual teachers that are super excited because they now get to tap in with support from the star beings that they've been working with for usually eons, lifetimes, right? They're here. It's seated in the heart of the Sedona Verde Valley. So we're about 25 minutes out of Sedona, depends on how fast you drive. And we're down a dead-end road that is going to right straight down the middle of a peninsula that's surrounded by Oak Creek. So it's a very private location. A lot of people don't even know it's here. And we do have frontage on the Sacred Oak Creek, which we'll talk about later. It has right now 2 very, very powerful gateways that have been activated and are continually growing and expanding. That is going to be a never-ending process. We will never, in my lifetime, cap this thing out. It's just not possible. So as the humanity grows and expands, it will grow and expand to meet that need, and actually a little bit ahead of it, because it's designed to pull you forward, meet you where you are, and bring you forward into your next level. So it's extremely powerful. So why Wisdom Spirit Ranch for your next retreat? It is sacred ground. As I mentioned, the Sonoguans were known to be the last tribe to recognize one of the gateways on this property. And there's history here where the main portal is millions of years old. This intention for collaboration was set millions of years ago so that the original God's source codes could re-emerge again and be integrated by humanity. And it needed to be in a place, obviously, that was sacred. It's extremely protected, and the zoning is keeping it extremely protected. You can't just walk on this property. It's not open to the public. It's only by private reservation can you be here. So it's a very, very sacred space. There are no required passes, so the upside of this, you don't have to have a pass to get on it. If you're familiar at all with the Sedona area and what's been happening there, because of the influx of tourists, just about every major trail now you have to take a bus to. There's very limited parking. You have to have passes. If you need a guide, then you have to get a guide. There's limited time frames that you can actually be in these spaces. They're not usually allowing you a quiet space that you can just gather your tribe of 15, 20 people and do something with them for 3 or 4 hours. Very difficult to do. So there's a lot of advantages to have this sacred space just for yourself. And it is just for yourself. When we did our research, when we started setting up the parameters for Wisdom Spirit Ranch, the feedback we were getting from teachers is that they really wanted a place that they didn't have to share with anybody else. Because we do have 3 separate homes, we could have easily done that. Then it becomes very difficult because the whole property each property has its own specialty, its own energy. So if I had 2 teachers on this property at the same time, now we're talking about we have to schedule each property for the portals, right? We have to schedule what's coming online next is what we call this Wisdom Speaker. And the Wisdom Speaker is a place you can do yoga and meditation. It's just a place you can unfold and people can stretch out and do whatever. And which we really thought was a benefit, which is it's also something else that came up when our interviews of teachers, is that they wanted a sacred space where they could come in, set the space, have their tribe coming in and out of it, yet still on the same protected property, so that they could do their own setups, have their own, private time to record whatever they needed to do. So back to not having to have buses, passes. You can just stay on the property. Everybody stays and sleeps on the property. Nobody can be on this property unless they have a reservation, period. So that means when you come in with your tribe, everybody who is in your experience has to stay on the property. So if somebody locally says, hey, can I come to your experience and only pay for the conference fee? The answer is no. They have to stay on property. That's the zoning requirements of this property. But it's also very much in alignment with what the whole essence of this property is. It's to bring the teams together as a unit, so you become one and you work together. It creates a tremendous amount of tribe synergy. It's just designed for that. All right, and then we have also the natural gateways, which we are going to discuss quite a bit more in depth further down the line here. It also has just a really unique quiet spot, which I've kind of hinted to already. Because we're in central Sedona Verde Valley, in the countryside, it's very serene. The street is one way in, one way out, limited traffic. You have to kind of know it's there to even go there, or live there to go there. It's that peninsula that this road runs down the middle of, completely surrounded by sacred Oak Creek, which is relevant when you look at being in the desert and having an area that's got that much water energy in one space. Makes it very unique energy all by itself. You don't even have to talk about the gateways. All right, so the Creekside and the Zen Garden meditation areas. We have 2 active gateways. One is on the property called Avalon Mist, and that gateway is called Ring of Fire, and there are some secondary energies there as well. We also have the Emerald Emergence, which is extremely old. This is where the God Source codes are coming and streaming through. So very important energetic that you can engage there. The activations we've had on that particular gateway has been phenomenal. Also, we have stargazing, we have Zen Garden, we have Creekside sitting for meditations. So if you're doing deep immersion work and people just need to get out and integrate and be, you can do that. As I mentioned, the Wisdom Speaker will soon be done. We're anticipating by September, where you can bring in people and to do sound meditations, you can do yoga, you can do your own events, and obviously they're your own techniques for people to spread out and get into the integration mode. And overall, just peace and quiet. The whole tribe does stay together, and you have the 3 different homes to choose from. We have both double occupancy rooms with extra long twin beds, as well as a few rooms with just queen beds for either couples or somebody who wants to have their own private space. That is available. And it's very easy to keep your tribe together here. I've been to plenty of events. I'm sure you have too. They're held in a big hotel. People scatter, and you're trying to create a space. You go in to create your space. You do the clearing work. You do your processes to create your container, and you're trying to do that in the midst of a 400 to 800 room hotel that has all kinds of stuff going on in it. You know, people are coming to party, they're coming to business events, whatever they are. Their energy is frickin' all over the place. And so you're trying to contain a space that you people can be in, plus try to contain them and actually showing up on time and being there when you need them to be. Here, it's very easy. They actually can get together in one space. They're only going to be in 1 or 3 houses. They're going to be in 1 or 2 of the meditation areas. We do recommend that they don't go in the gateway areas without the teacher, without the leader, because they may trigger something that they are not able to handle themselves. So those are not play spaces, by the way. They need to be part of your itinerary when you create your program, and they're specifically set up for people to be in them with you when you're doing a process or teaching, whatever it is that works best for you. We do have local collaborators. So let's say you're coming from out of the country, or from East Coast or whatever, and it's not easy for you to bring your normal sound healers, shamans, whoever you're used to working with. We do have collaborators in the local area that we can provide for you to have a relationship with, and you can interview them and see if there's a fit. We also, I'm also going to be doing a webinar just to share some tips on how to structure your retreat with this property and sample itineraries, and so that you have a little bit of an idea of how to actually maximize your experience on Wisdom Spirit Ranch. So here is the picture of the boundaries of Wisdom Spirit Ranch, and you can see it's in a heart shape. It's very much relevant. When we actually stumbled across this by accident when we were creating some materials last winter for an event, and wow, we didn't even know. And so it's got this beautiful heart energy. We have one parcel here right now that's not officially part of our ranch. Maybe someday it will be, but right now the majority of the property is all within this boundary. You can see down towards the bottom that we do have the Oak Creek frontage. That's what you're seeing there in the water, and there is walking paths down there. We did make that easier to traverse because it does go down a hillside, and there's places down there for people just to sit and be. The best use of that area is for people to come in and integrate, journal, cry, whatever, process. That's a great space for it. Avalon, Mist, and Home. So I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of what each of these parcels, where they are on the property, and kind of what their functionality is. So the first one is Avalon Mist. This home should be completed by September. That one has got a complete gut. So it's going to be my favorite home because I got to do that creation. And it is the parcel that holds the Ring of Fire. Now, the Ring of Fire was the first gateway that was identified on this property, and I'll cover who did that with me in a few minutes. That gateway is really for the lower chakras. It's for people to come in and process through this world's shit, for them to process through their traumas and their angers. So a lot of times we personally bring a shaman in to work with us when we begin our events in this portal. Once we activated this portal, which was quite fascinating, this is the layout. I created this pathway. So last summer I spent a lot of hot days putting down gravel, picking rock, and creating these circles, because I just get up every day. What am I supposed to do today? Go to the ranch. I get to the ranch. What am I doing today? And I would be told what to do. So I started creating these different structures, basically stone structures, not really labyrinths, but stone walkways and circles to hold this vibration. And so the Ring of Fire, we did put a little fire pit in there. We are in Arizona, so the fire does have to be covered. We often have seasons where that's restricted, so you definitely have to have a cover on it. That's the other reason why we do have gravel here, is because if anything does get loose, it keeps the property safe and keeps the tribe safe that's with you. So we took all those things in consideration when we created this space. We do have people walk in. Typically they walk in clockwise. You can have them walk in counterclockwise. It's up to you. And then we have our shaman do a process with them to start getting them to release. And we personally also have some exercises and teachings that we incorporate with that to help them move through that process. The first 2 to 3 days of our event, depending how long of an event we do, we just work on the release part, because we want them to have as much space open as possible when they get to the God Source portal. As soon as we activated the Ring of Fire, it was fascinating. Then Zion the dragon showed up. So he's an incredible protector, and he has his own little ring. And then to the left side, we had the Angel Redemption showed up, and she has her own little formation as well. And we have found that people who are really going through some deep processing love to go over to her. And those who are more in the warrior mode, they tend to be magnetized to Zion. We did an event where it just naturally occurred. We had people just kind of feel out where they wanted to be, and we ended up having all the men on the inner circle, the women on the outer circle, and they did a divine feminine masculine meditation on the spot, impromptu. So be very open when you're creating your itineraries on this property to what the land is going to actually show you and to support you in for your next steps. So be fluid. Be fluid with the land and the energy. All right, so Emerald Emergence is the second property of the heart. That was the original homestead of this property. This property at one time was much larger, and it was reduced over the years into the other homesteads and farmsteads around it. That is where the Emerald Emergence Lemurian, which was the home of the original Lemurian temple gateway, sits right in front of this home. I'm going to show you a video in a few minutes of how we created this. I'll tell you a little story about that. But super powerful. I mean, this is really connected to the Emerald Code. For those of you who are familiar with that energetic, this portal was established millions of years ago for this timeline. There is going to be a crossing of energies and opportunity as humanity's consciousness is rising for this portal to now be activated again, which we've been working on. So it's super, super powerful. The Sinagwan Indians did recognize this portal when they were here. They didn't use the other ones. And in total, we'll end up with four main gateways on this property with a couple sub gateways. Like, for instance, our Zen garden just showed up with Buddha this spring. Wasn't even in the plan, didn't see it coming. He showed up and then the garden showed up. So those are like a secondary support gateway for your tribe. So this property, this home has 6 bedrooms, 3 baths. And we also have created a station for makeup and hair for those women who need more time. It has extra lighting, has a makeup mirror, that kind of stuff. So we can keep people moving fluidly through the house. It is right now where we've been doing our events. The living room, dining area on this house is humongous. We held 15 people in there very comfortably. You're not going to be doing yoga, but you definitely can teach, and we were doing activations in there. Plenty of space. People are very comfortable, and for the next 2 or 3 months, if you need a space, talk to me, because it'll easily accommodate. Right now, the 2 homes that are ready and Emerald Emergence home can accommodate up to 15 people, and it is available. All right. So we created I was sharing earlier when I get up every morning last summer and I said go to the ranch, and they would tell me what to do. This is one of the things I was told to do. I was told to create a 4-ring, kind of a modified labyrinth. And this circle represents the circles and the star beings who support the collaboration on this property. So we have the Lyrians, who are like our overseers. They're our overprotectors. That's also a very strong connection with the lions and the dragons. They are overseeing the whole property. And then we had 4 additional tribes. I call them tribes, star beings. We had the Sirians, the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, and the Andromedans. So the Andromedans are actually in a different galaxy, came into this. This is how important, this is how freaking important this energy is in this portal. They came together as collaboration, which totally flows into this land, that everything that's done here is a collaboration. That's why this property is just not for me to use. It is to be open to other teachers, for them to be able to come in and collaborate in these energies. It is super essential that is available to others who are called to this land. So this design is, you actually coming on the south side, which is unusual. Usually it's the east, typically. South side, and it represents leaving your life behind, leaving the old behind, leaving all the structures that we've been built around our belief systems in this lifetime behind, like the south node in your astrology. This is what you've came into. You're going to go counterclockwise in and around to the center, to the actual energetic point, which actually this thing has so much energy. If you sit in the living room in the house, you're going to feel it. We did a ton of activations in the house when the weather wasn't cooperating. No problem. The energy is just right there. So it's very expansive. You do your meditation, your ceremonies, your activations, whatever is part of your program, and then you walk clockwise out, and you come out on the north node, and you head into the north direction, which at some point here there will be an additional gateway that's going to start pulling through. And so we were out to dinner. My husband and I were out to dinner, and an individual we did not know came and sat down next to us. We happened to be at our favorite restaurant in Sedona, and they have a lovely bar area where you have great views and stuff. And when you come in the last minute, that's usually where you end up. So we're sitting there. This gentleman sits down next to my husband, and the whole place just going whoosh the energy just went boom. And so my husband and him are having a great conversation. I'm just watching, and I typically don't get a lot of extra information unless it's important for me to know. And so I'm watching the energy, and the galactic streams of energy coming through these two is phenomenal. We get done with our conversation, we get up, we leave. Tim is so buzzed he can't even hardly walk. And the man, I think he had 1 drink with dinner. I mean, it wasn't because he was drunk. And so we had to walk around the plaza. And we walk around this plaza, which I hadn't really spent a lot of time in. We usually just went to this restaurant. Walk around the plaza. I get stopped in my tracks and get told to look left. I look, and there's this little crystal shop I've never seen before. And it has an aqua aura quartz sitting in its window, and it was already closed for the day. It was like 7:30 at night. And you have to come back tomorrow and buy that. I'm like, okay, I'm coming back tomorrow to buy that. So at this point, I have no idea that this is going to develop. This is not on my time frame, my window yet. They haven't told me that this is coming. And so I go back the next day, and I pick that up in a bunch of selenite, and then pretty soon you need to create a seed of life around this portal, and you need to be building crystals. You need to dig it in the ground. You need to bury it. So I'm doing that process. Within 10 days, I have an excavator. I have a team of friends who are conscious. I have a bucket of crystals that just showed up fairly easily. And we started digging and creating. And that's, I'm going to show you the video of that creation. It is about 4 minutes long, so bear with it. But it is kind of fun to see how that came together. And you will kind of know what's underneath the space holding your energy, right? There's a lot that there's a lot of thought that the beings brought through for us to incorporate once that was built. And then the 4 rings showed up and I did the walk path. And so let's see if this is going to work for us today. And if it doesn't, I'll send you a link when I send you the other stuff. Here we go. All right, so let me get this thing back. And slideshow mode. There we go. Okay, so yeah, that it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, a lot of fun. And the second part of that is when we were just about ready to put this in the ground. I'm going through Sedona, and we have a dear friend who does the pyramids, right? He does these really sacred pyramids that are connecting heaven to earth. And so that was Rion that you saw with Team Light. And so I'm literally driving through town. I'm texting him like, hey, I need you to do a pyramid for me. And he goes, well, come on over, which never happens because he's so freaking busy. So I come on over. The guardians of this property set him down and channel in what I needed in this pyramid. And then he's like, I got it. And then within about 2 weeks, he had it done. So stage 2 was putting on the pyramid, the Emerald Pyramid. So it was a very fun process. So let's get back to work here. Okay, so on the third property, it's called Wisdom Keeper. So a little story. When I was working on the land last summer, doing all this stuff, I started getting the names for the properties. They each named themselves. I didn't have anything to do with the creation of these names. And first of all, I named Wisdom Spirit Ranch, which I did. We'd come back to the office in the afternoon, and I'd start, trying to translate what I was getting. And it came up Wisdom Keeper Ranch, which I fell in love with. And then soon after that came the dragon, by the way. The dragon energy started coming in when we brought the names in, which is fascinating. And that is also coordinates with as we activated each of these different gateways. Excuse me. So the Wisdom Speaks venue, which is right here, is under construction. It's almost complete. And then the Wisdom Keeper house is here. So it's a nice location. Wisdom Keeper, when it came through, as that's the name, and the reason for the name is that, again, going back to our research, a lot of the teachers said they needed a private space, that they could come and be by themselves, just to recharge and do everything you need to do when you're holding space for a lot of people. So Wisdom Keeper kind of raised its hand and said, hey, that's my job. So this home is cute. I mean, people love this home, love the vibration of it. They just walk in and they love it. It's simple, it's easy, it's quaint, it's cottagey. You have an open concept, full kitchen, sitting area, a massive primary bedroom, and then a secondary one. So if you bring in tribe with you, there's space for them as well. And so there's lots of private space. It's also nicely located next to the Wisdom Speaks, because if you need to go in and do some setup, if you want to do recordings, anything that you want to do, build your space, right? I mean, we do a lot of that when we prepare for an event. We don't just walk in, we build the space, and that creates then the energy for the tribe to come in. It is lockable and unlockable, so if you want to just go in there for 2 hours in the morning, do your own meditations and set the space, you can do that and just let your tribe know, hey, off rounds while I do this. It is a large enough space so that you can do yoga, meditation, sound meditations, whatever your little heart desires. You can do it in this space. The Wisdom Speaks venue is going to be quite a great addition, as another thing that showed up when we were talking with teachers, that they would love to have a space big enough so they could do whatever they wanted. For instance, yoga takes some space. If they want to do ecstatic dancing at the end of the day so they can integrate, there's plenty of room. So this is what this is designed for. Very classic, nothing frilly. This whole property is about grounding, being in your roots. It's very comfortable. It's very ranchy. I'll be honest, if you're looking for the Ritz, this is not the property for you. It's not the venue for you. You're not going to be happy here. You have to be in a space where you really want to be in a comfort space. These are very comfortable spaces, and the basics. Not that you don't have everything you need. I mean, you're going to have everything you need, but it's like you're not going to have waiters. You're not going to have bellboys. You're not going to have any of that stuff here. Everybody gets to be taking responsibility for themselves, which is actually a big part of the journey. And one of the things that we teach, even though people are going through lots of transformation and they can have experiences of going through processes, they still need to take responsibility for themselves in their experience. We're not here to enable anybody. That's not our job. We're working with grown-ups here. So if you're working with people and you don't think they're adult enough to step into this, then it's maybe not the right space either. So it's one of the things that I often talk to people about that they hadn't thought of. They just make sure that their tribe actually matches the vibration of the property. The other thing that we're doing here is Transformation Village. Transformation Village is going to be a set of buildings. We're bringing the first one in. It's supposed to be here around September. Well, I have like massage room spaces or healing room spaces, so you can bring people in if you have a tribe to come with and do those services. If you do it yourself, you do readings, whatever. If you want to bring people in to collaborate with, I mean, you can have cranial sacral, massage, you name it. You know, that's those pieces are for that. We felt that it was better, and we also got some feedback that it would be good to have private spaces so people didn't have to go to their room to have a massage, for instance, in the houses, that they actually had a private space to come that's specifically designated for that. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the Lemurian energy here. Lemurian energy this is when the main portal was set. It was during the early Lemurian times, and Lemurian was not just a cycle that was before the Atlantis cycle. The Lemurian cycle lasted millions of years, and that's kind of the unknown. One thing that happens, you know, because of just the way the world is when it resets itself, like it did with Atlantis, we barely get information on Atlantis, much less anything that occurred before that. This planet is billions of years old. We are definitely not the first cycle here. And so the Lemurian was one of those times. It was very divine, feminine oriented, very soft. And not mean that there wasn't masculine energies here, but they were very balanced. The feminine and the masculine were very balanced during this time. This was before there were things like greed, hate, war. Didn't freaking exist. So those energies are super clean and clear. They haven't been manipulated with other beings who decided they should have an experiment on planet Earth. These energies are before that. It's the original source code. That's why it's so important that energy is protected in the way this land is set up the way it is. This is not going to be a space where people just driving up, walking through and leaving. This is not a tourist spot. This is a very sacred spot, and it has to be honored. So the Lemurian civilization, and actually I'll probably talk about this in my own event, but when you look at the actual Lemurian map, we are the furthest southeast point in the U.S. that we are aware of that was included in the Lemurian civilization. We have a line that runs from us up to Mount Shasta, and then everything heads west across the Pacific Ocean and heads over to the Hawaiian Islands and further. So we were like an outpost here. And this particular location had a very significant role. It's a little bit more on Lemurian. It was very matriarchal. You know, the Lemurian quartz, which I love Lemurian quartz, and especially smoky Lemurian quartz. But we love it because that is also encoded with the higher wisdom. And you'll see a few of those pieces showing up around the property. And it's energies of what I call divine love. I like the word divine love versus unconditional love because that still has conditions in it. Love, healing, and just abundance, and just that soul essence of purity, right? Of just knowing who you are as a piece of God. So when I went to, we're getting into some more depth on the energies of the Lemurian portal. So one of my acquaintances, friends in this area, is Dr. Yap Van Etten. Very, very gentle, sweet soul. And he's actually been doing a lot of work with one of my grandchildren who had a major seizure when he was 3, so he has some disabilities that he needs assistance with. And so Yap has been working with him heavily, and I was aware that he has literally traveled the world to do grids and activation lines, very, very engaged with crystal skulls, the dragons, new consciousness, the grid lines that I mentioned, ley lines, very, very attuned to the earth. So he came out to the property about 1.5 years ago, and we started marking off where these gateways were. And the first one he identified was the Ring of Fire. It is in the lower chakras. We're finding now, as we evolve in consciousness, we don't really have chakras per se. We have like centers. We have our lower center, we have our solar plex center, the heart, the crown, the third eye, and then we have our higher stellar chakras that connect us into the God world. So this is the property named itself Avalon Mist, which I've discovered I didn't quite understand. It's close, but not quite. It's Avalon Mist, which is the era of the original, when the original source codes were brought into this planet. And it holds that first lower chakra area. It was used in the Lemurian times. It really wasn't used since. And because there's been other civilizations through time that have recognized the energy on this property, this one was more hidden. And it's when we activated, like I shared, the dragons and the archangels joined in that support for people to help process through stuff they need to let go. And that's the other thing is, we say need, I don't like the word need, but they have made a decision when they arrive here that they're transitioning through what doesn't serve them any longer. And that's their decision and then their responsibility to let it go. It is in full support of initiates coming onto this property. The land is very supportive of people who are in alignment, who are in their truth and are ready to make next steps forward in their own consciousness, their own development. So it's all about helping us let go of separation, fears of the past, helps you ground into earth. Very difficult to serve on this earth plane if you're not grounded. It's becoming more and more apparent because you've got to be able to bring that, your own God source, first of all, into your body. But that's also what brings in the skill set and gifts that you bring. And so the teachers and leaders of the tribes are totally supported when they bring their people in here. Be in alignment. You need to connect with the land. I highly recommend you come in at least a day early to do your setup, that you spend some time with the land, do your own presence and connecting with the beings, and they will guide you and assist you with added aspects to your program. As we walk from this portal over to the Emerald Emergence Gateway here, there's actually a real strong Palladian line in here that supports it as well. The fifth chakra, did I just skip one? Yeah. The fifth chakra is the one that's actually in our Wisdom Speaks building. And it's I just thought it was super fascinating because he wasn't the only one that identified it in there, first of all. I had 2 or 3 other people walk through and went, wow, there's a throat chakra in here. So, the building was very rustic at the time. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. We've got to convert this to a place that people can come in and speak. And so, but the building supports the teachers expressing their messages. Connect in, guys, and just let it flow. Let go of your resistance. Let go of restriction. Open up your throat and just allow the wisdom that you're here to share become the oracle and share that information. The world needs it and your tribe needs it. So be open and do it. And then, of course, Emerald Emergence. Emerald Emergence actually has the 4th and 7th chakras in it. And to me, it pretty much covers from here to here, right? It's covering this whole range of support. And in the second phase of the Lemurian times is when this one really came into form. It's very unique. There was actually a physical temple on this exact spot. It was very large. It was a 48-meter, 8-sided temple, which is very, very unique. It was built there, and then it had 8 secondary temples where the teaching was done. And so, I'm not sure what just happened. Looks like my camera just froze. And let's hope it keeps going. The original temple, I'm back. The original temple, like I said, was 8-sided. It was very elemental. We have all of the main, air, fire, water, and earth here, and it was completely that masculine and feminine, equality, the bridging and bringing together of that. So it's no wonder that we had, a group of people that just automatically flowed into the archangel's circle and did an activation for the divine masculine and feminine. It sits on this property. And the dotted lines you see are actually outreaches, but his demo, this was actually Yap's photo, his picture. Went to the 8th subsidiary. Temples over trading sites. They were about 2 miles out. And then people would come into all the priests and priestesses would come into the major temple and would do their work together. And that is where the Emerald Emergence portal is sitting. All right, I got curious. This is just a little fun fact. So I got curious because of the information that Yap had shared about having the 8 additional temples to see if that energy still existed today. Instead, what I came across is I'm aware of 2 other properties that are kind of similar, but they have very different focuses in Wisdom Spirit Ranch. And so I plotted them on our county map, and it has a tool where you can actually draw this line, right? You just center point and draw a tool. And I was fascinated to see that they're all on the same ley line, and all 3 of us are on Oak Creek. So the creek is circling through this area. There was a couple other properties that are also doing spiritual space, and they didn't fall in this line. I didn't share how they fit in, so they didn't make it on the map. But I think it's showing us something is happening right now with these awakening. Shiloh is brand new. They actually purchased about 6 months after I did. Grace Point, I'm not sure how long they've been here, but they are already up and running. All right, things to share with you about the accommodations, and I touched on this a little bit. So Emerald Emergence is the big house, 6 bedrooms, 3 baths. 3 of the bedrooms have extra long 2 twin beds in the rooms, so those would be shared rooms, obviously. 2 bedrooms have 2 queen beds. Those would be the rooms that I would anticipate either couples choose or somebody who wants their own space. They don't sleep well with others, or they snore, or whatever it is, or they just like their space. Doesn't have to be a reason. We have 2 bedrooms structured for that. And then we also have 1 bedroom that has a extra long twin with a queen on the bottom, and we usually do sell that as a double occupancy. And so we did create a makeup station. So what I discovered when you do have to have a shared situation with bathrooms, that there's always somebody that just requires more time to do their hair, do their makeup, whatever it is. So we created a station just for that. It has a sink, big mirror, lighting, makeup mirror, hair dryers are all in that area, so that women who need the more time, they can do that without feeling rushed. Even though I highly recommend when people come in that they don't worry about it. Take a shower and move on, because you're going to be out on the land. Depending on the season, you may be outside when it's warm out, and it isn't going to make a difference. Honestly, enjoy the experience and don't worry about it. All right, Wisdom Keeper. Wisdom Keeper has the 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. That is the home we talked about, where the teacher often chooses, and they get to choose. Obviously, they're booking the property. They get to choose where they want to be. Often we find they choose that one because of the privacy. It's also really close to the creek, by the way. The pathway is right outside the backside of the house, so they can scoot down to the creek without being seen. If they need private time down there, they can get over to the Wisdom speaker, and so it's just nicely located for a teacher. The main bedroom, currently we have a queen bed in there. We are upgrading that once the other house is done, and there will be a king bed in there. And then we have a queen bed in the secondary apprentice bedroom. So we have the shaman room and we have the apprentice room. And we have 1 bathroom there. That house has been completely redone pretty much. And we have a new kitchen, new bathroom, a lot of new flooring, all new paint, all that good stuff. Most of the homes have gone through that regime. New roof, new heating. You got it. You got the idea. And so it's quaint, just quaint, cottagey, relaxing. Like I said, people walk in and they just freaking love that house. So something's good in there, right? And it was also showed up on the tribe teachers that we talked with, that they wouldn't like to have their own private space. And that does sleep up to 4. We may be adding a sofa sleeper as well for the tribes that actually have more people, but you may not want that. That'd be the choice of the teacher if you choose that house to use it. Coming soon, we have Avalon Mist. It's been in process for about 1.5 years now. Won't get into details on that. Just it is very close to being completed. It is the property that has the Ring of Fire on it. It is fully remodeled, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, sleeps up to 10. We're still working on configuration. We'll have at least 3 bedrooms with 2 extra long twin beds in them and 1 bedroom with the queen. The 5th bedroom is still kind of undecided, and we may just make it kind of flexible where we can either do 2 extra long twins and scoot them together to make a larger bed, maybe. We haven't decided. But anyways, they'll be well taken care of. The Wisdom Speaker, as we mentioned, is going to be online soon. And Transformation Village, the first building of that, comes in September. Booking options. So I want to talk a little bit about how do you actually book with us. Wisdom Spirit Ranch, because of where we're located and the zoning that is here, we were able to work with my legal team and come up with a really clean Airbnb experience. What that means for you as a tribe leader, everybody in your gathering has to stay on property. This is not where, okay, I'm coming into town, I know I have clientele in Sedona and they can just drive over. Can't happen. And if it does happen, there's going to be fines for that because I'm going to get fined for it. So doesn't happen, so just understand the rules. Everybody stays on property. The only exception is if you bring a collaborator in, obviously they're coming for 2 hours, they don't have to stay on property. That's a different agreement you have between them and you. Otherwise, everybody has to stay on property. And with that, you have 3 different ways you can book. I call it, you got this. So we know there's a lot of teachers that have been coming into Sedona and renting an Airbnb, and they're doing small groups under 10 because it's hard to find an Airbnb big enough to accommodate any more than that. But you've done it before. You've got this down. You know how the whole format works. You know how to structure food coming in and collaborators coming in and how you put everybody into a room. That stuff is just second nature to you. You've got it. So you just send us an email saying, hey, you in your subject line, say, you got this in it. And then we will send you a link to get you into the booking. This is obviously would be the most affordable option for any of the teachers who are looking at this because you're not having us do anything else really for you. I mean, we'll definitely have the property prepped. It will be stocked with coffees and teas and towels and bedding and all that stuff's all taken care of, cleaned, landscape. You don't have to worry about anything. Everything will be ready for you to be there. But you are the queen or the king of your domain when you're there. It is all yours, and you get to enjoy that. Then we have Team WSR. So if you have questions, which even some of those of you who are on You Got This may have a couple more questions about what we can do, what the property can work with you on, is probably a better way of phrasing that. So if you have any questions or need help with allocations of rooms, for instance, we have 13 rooms when we're all done at the end of the day. Do you want us to provide you a structure for you to be able to tell people where they're going or give them an option of where they want to be? Or are you just good with it and we'll just say, hey, Avalon Mist, 5 bedrooms. 3 of them have 2 twin beds, so you just slot people in where you want them, or maybe they get a slip and you have them put their name on it. And then you would obviously charge them for the room in your gathering fee for your event. Charge your room expenses with that fee. That's the same with You Got It. You are doing a one price package and everything is taken care of. And then we have Team WSR Plus. With Team WSR Plus, we have everything that the other 2 levels have, obviously, but we have the ability to provide a link where for you would put a small deposit down for holding the property and your cost, and then we send a link out to your tribe as they register and pay for your event, for your class. The link goes in there, they click on it, and it takes them into a format where they pick the house, pick the room they want, and then they pay us direct. That is something that is additional fee, obviously, and usually that's more likely we're going to have shift that over to a second party to handle that, just to make things easier. But so that's an option for those of you who really don't want to handle that part of organizing your team into what house and where they need to go. So just let me know when you reach out. Okay, frequently asked questions. Okay, can participants in our event camp on the land? No. This is not a campground. We have had people with van campers and tents and whatever. We know all we need, is access to a bathroom. Not allowed. This is not a campsite, and definitely is not allowed in the zoning. And trust me, somebody is going to make a noise about it if somebody tries it. So no is the answer. Don't ask. Again, kind of thing. Being that disciplined parent, I have 5 kids, I can do that. And so no, the answer is no. No exceptions. Each house has a maximum limit. Avalon is 10, Emerald is 12, and right now Wisdom Keeper is 4. Okay, what experiences do we offer? So we have the 3 separate homes, obviously. We have the 7 acres of land. We have the Zen garden. We have the meditation area by the creek. We have the 2 main gateways that are already established and in place. We have collaborators, a list of collaborators. So those are tools in place for you to really maximize your event, and I highly recommend that you do. You can really bring a whole nother level to your event with these amazing aspects to this property, to Wisdom Spirit Ranch. Who can benefit? Pretty much anybody who's a teacher, educator, obviously spiritual teachers who can really tap into the energetics. We have corporate leaders, team leaders, anyone who is in the professional and personal development arena. This is a great property for masterminding, deep dives, doing some deep integrative work. This property works extremely well, and that's its niche. I mean, it's not designed for 40 people. It goes up to 25 when everything's done, and that's a nice group size. It's like perfect size for your masterminds, for your intensives. That is what this property has really been oriented for. So what makes it unique, and we've discussed this, we've got all the private sacred spaces here. We can explore ancient wisdom, the cosmic energy connections, the star beings connections, the recoding that happens with the integrations in the Emerald, especially the Emerald Gateway. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity for transformation and growth on any event, with any event on this property. Extremely serene. I mean, I'd really recommend if you can do a week long, because we find it takes people 2 or 3 days to get out of the attachment to their phone and their computers and their routines. And I mean, we're going off all day long checking that somebody's needs us somewhere. And here they just need to just take care of them. That's all it's about. Just take care of them and shut the noise off. So if you can do a week, that's fantastic. Otherwise, the minimum is 4 days on the event for any gathering here. How to get more information? We are going to be sending you an email with that link, how to book an appointment with me to answer your questions, anything I didn't answer today. And then also, if you don't happen to get that, let's say it ends up in Google Heaven someplace, go to wisdomspiritranch.com, and there is an inquiry form on our website. It also will show you some of the pictures of the different homes, some sample, and we'll have our events on that page, so you can see what we're doing, and it just gives you a feel for the property by spending a little time there. So I recommend you go to wisdomspiritranch.com regardless and just get a feel for the property and the energies here. Watch for, in your email, the calendar link to book an appointment, to ask questions, to set up a schedule if you don't even have questions, so we can talk about what days are available and when you need them and what level of service do you need. So give us a call, look for that email, and again, if you don't see the email come through, then go to wisdomspiritranch.com. And for those of you who are you're done, you're full up, you need to go, fantastic. Otherwise, I'm doing a little snippet here with a little bit more information on the star families that are supporting Wisdom Spirit Ranch, because we're right at an hour and I know a lot of you don't have any more time. But if you do have time, I'm going to give you this quick introduction so you have a better, well-rounded idea of who are the beings here. The Syrians, they hold the 4th ring on the Emerald Emergence. So these are the beings I'm talking about today. 4 of them are the ones who are part of the Emerald Emergence collaboration. And so the Syrians hold the 4th ring, and they are warriors, very gentle, compassionate hearts. They are very connected to the divine source. So a lot of the God world energies are supported and come through the Syrian channel. and you really can't get there without them. They are deeply observant and know the truth at a really deep level. So if you have somebody who carries that lineage in their bloodlines, they're going to be the intuitive wisdom keepers. When they get clear, and the key is they have to be clear, because if they get infiltrated, they're going to have crap inputted into their channels. And that's not cool, by the way. But it happens all day long. Most of humanity is in that structure right now. They're very clear, very wisdom-oriented beings, and very creative. And you're not going to find that Syrian in a city, by the way. They're not interested. A little quote here: your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world, and if that's not the truth. So that's what this property is all about: self-realization and getting to know yourself and getting rid of which is not yourself. Arcturians, they hold the third ring on the Emerald Emergence portal, and they are really good at seeing past the illusion, because we're living in an illusion on the 3D plane. They hold the truth and they assist others in knowing their true nature and purpose, which ties in beautifully, obviously, with the purpose of this portal, because you are going to be receiving your true destiny codes. So your true nature and purpose. They naturally can visualize a desired end result, so they're very choice-oriented. I don't like goals per se, but we do practice choice. So once you get clarity, if you just sit every morning and ask, what is my next step? It's like the process that they really put me through last year, developing the land, is just show up. What do I do now? What's next? What's next? Don't worry about what it's going to look like in 3 years, because you have to first do the step today to get you there. You can hold that vision, definitely, but you've got to get present and go, what is it today that's important? Who do I need to talk to? What needs to be done? And your guidance, the guardians on this mission, they'll come. If you are clear and open, you're going to get very clear steps. They're not going to bullshit. They are also very adept at bringing forth past life knowings, bringing your gifts in. We have many lifetimes, not just this one. And we sure got, all those gifts, most of them got erased when we entered into the 3D dimension. They can help us bring that forth again. Another little quote for you from Nikola Tesla. My brain is only a receiver in the universe. There is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. And we do work with that in our own teachings about developing that core. Pleiadians, holder of the second ring. Very loving beings, a lot of Pleiadian influence in this cycle, because they are, first of all, one of the closest planets, but they have had many incarnations on this planet. So there's a lot of relevance for them. They are key in moving humanity from 3D to 5D. They're kind of the leaders in that. And they are extremely empathic. So it's your Palladium-based tribe member who is going to be very empathic, and they need to learn what's theirs and what is not theirs. So important, because they cannot step into their role in this world until they know what's theirs. And if they're always being inundated with somebody else's stuff and they can't tell the difference, very difficult for them to move forward. So from Barbara Marcinek, Bringers of the Dawn, everything changes when you start to emit your own frequency. It's true, right? Rather than absorbing the frequencies around you. When you start imprinting your intent on the universe rather than receiving somebody else's imprint, it makes a huge difference. All right, Andromedans. Andromedans are actually from a different galaxy, most of you are aware. And they are holding the heart energy in the center of this Emerald Emergence portal. They very much in love and healing. They are dedicated to bringing new technologies in to support healing also. They are really, they came in to help in this transformation, bringing Earth back to her true essence. She's going through a huge process as well, many of you are aware. They are also where a lot of the dragons come from. So according to Yep Van Etten, in his dragon book, the Cassiopeia in that Andromeda galaxy actually holds a lot of the training grounds for dragons. I love Andromedans. You are deeply wise but very measured. So there's nothing egotistical about you. You just want what's the best for the planet, and that's why you're here. You heard the call of the Earth needing help, and you came as a galactic volunteer. And that's what brought them in from their own galaxy. All right. And then the last group here, the Lyrians. Love the Lyrian. So the Lyrian is the main constellation that the God worlds are coming through the Armamentian gateway. And so in order to connect to the God worlds, the Lyrians have this like umbrella that we all fall underneath. And you have to, there's some temples through there that we actually come through to bring through the Emerald codes. Fascinating structure that was created, gazillions of years ago for this timeline. They are very cat-oriented, lion-oriented, with human bodies typically, but they also can transform into a complete physical being. They are fierce, fierce, fierce guardians of the true original God source codes. They are key holders for this. It's incredibly important that they are part of this project, and everybody is in collaboration with them in bringing forth this new timeline. So this cycle has been in works for eons of times. We are so fortunate to be here in this time. I'm so grateful for you guys being here to take these steps into bringing your tribes forward into the next level of awareness and consciousness. So with that, we are in deep gratitude for your presence with us. Look for your emails. If you don't see anything in your mail today or tomorrow at the very latest, please just go to wisdomspiritranch.com and get on our inquiry form, put your name in there, and just put a note in there that you were in this event. So we also get you the discount code, because you do get a discount code if you're one of the 5 first who get a discount if you're one of the 5 first who book and lock in an agreement. So love you all. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you're super busy. Julie Valentine with Wisdom Spirit Ranch. Bye for now. Love you all.